Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Edge with April Mahoney Brains. We are going to talk to an author today because the conversations are always pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull here. And I'm excited to have her. And boy, does she have some stories to tell. Okay, so we're going to go by her pen name, Pamdiana Jones, a spoof off of Indiana Jones. This woman just decided, I'm going to go and see everything I can see and do everything I can do. A lot of cultural experiences, awakening, great stories, great adventures, some danger, all that good stuff. And now she's into her second chapter. She's writing another book, or you just completed another book, right? A children's book.
That's true. Thanks
So
for
we're going
having
to
me
talk
on,
about
April.
that
But
too.
yeah, I'm almost finished with my third, and the
Wow. So
second was recently published. That's a children's book.
we're going to talk about that and the whole writing process and a lot more. Welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you. So glad we met.
I am too. So dial back. Tell us how you show up in the world, where you've been in the world, and what caused you to travel around the world.
Well, born and raised in LA girl, 20 years in San Diego. I'm in Orange County, California, USA, and my grandparents had lived, they were British, but they had lived all over Africa and had traveled quite a bit. So I grew up hearing their stories. And then my mom went off to Africa when she was at around 25. So I always knew it was in my blood one day. And a couple trips fell through right at the last minute. So I was about 24 years old and my moving truck got stolen full of everything I owned. And
Uh-oh.
I
Oh,
met a friend that said,
wait. I'm not
yes,
surprised you was in LA. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
they were waiting for you to turn your back.
I'm the dummy who parked everything I own in the middle of the street too. Like, oh, this will be fine. I'll just be a few minutes. And no, it was
It,
time to go.
it happened. It happened within a few minutes.
Yeah, arguing with my guardian angels who were saying, do not park everything you own in the middle of the street. And I was like, I just got to run in for a minute. No problem, no problem. And it was not. It was devastating at that time, but it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because I'll tell you what, I ended up meeting a friend that was going surfing in South Africa, and did I want to go? So I bought a backpack, packed a few things inside, and off we went. So it was a very spur of the moment trip to go off to Africa. And it was supposed to be 3 months in South Africa with my friend Jay, that was a big surfer. And we bought a car in Cape Town and we drove all the entire coast of South Africa. And then his sister decides to get married right in the middle of that trip. So he leaves early. Well, we're not dating or anything, so I don't want to go yet. I still have lots of friends in Africa, so I just finish out the trip. Well, on the way home, I asked the stewardess if the ticket is still good. Can I get off the plane in Malaysia? And she says, yes, your ticket's good for a year. So I didn't know what my friend Jay had bought. So it just turned into 3 years around the world solo after Jay left. So he and I were only traveling for 6 weeks. 3 years, yeah.
Okay, now I now I have to ask this question. You know the brains want to know: were you independently wealthy? Did you take
Not
on
at all.
waitress? Did you take on waitress jobs and working in hotels and all that kind of stuff
I
while you were
did.
traveling?
You're going to laugh at this. I had $1,200 in the bank, and Jay said the ticket is $1,175. And I go,
What?
okay. So I sold my car to go. I hand over the money. I have $25 to my name, and I sold my car to go, which was 3,300 bucks. So I didn't know how much traveling was. So I go $1,000 a month for 3 months, I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
So very spur of the moment. But
Okay, so now, but Jay had the hookup on the other side. Jay had friends there that you could,
no,
kind
no, he'd never been there before. He never met anybody from there either. So we just, when you travel, you start meeting people along the way. And especially as a single female after Jay left, because he and I slept in the car quite a bit that we had bought. But once people heard I was on my own, they started welcoming into their homes.
see, and
So
you know what? You are very, very trusting because I'd be looking at
I'm too
folks with a
trusting.
side eye. But again, but you had a guardian angel.
My guardian angel is exhausted. They're up there smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey because I'm just always getting myself in trouble, I'll tell you.
Okay, so you land in Malaysia, and then what
Yeah.
starts to happen?
Uh, I had never traveled before, and Jay had traveled before, so he had taught me how to travel dirt cheap. So he's like, "Buy a bag of rice and eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 months." And I went, "Oh, okay, that sounds awful to me, but and wash your clothes in a bar in a with a bar of soap in the sink." So I had learned so much from him that I knew right away, I'd only spent 900 bucks in the 3 months of Africa, so I still had $2,400. So we were traveling dirt cheap, you know? And in Malaysia, I just went to the bus stop. I met 2 girls, and we 3 toured around for a few days. We went to a bug farm and a big cave and some temples and things. And then they flew home, and I went on to Singapore, and I met some gay guys that took me out to dinner. And then I went to Indonesia, and I started along small little islands that don't have tourists much. So people are just staring at me like, "What is this cuckoo lady doing here by herself?" I ended up on a 17-hour cargo boat ride with 40 men laying on some um, wooden beams, and they're just staring at me. Cockroaches are running by. After about, I don't know, 6 hours, they start shaking me awake. Would you like some dinner? You know, they didn't speak any English, but would I like some rice and fish? And I was practicing my Indonesian at that time, so I was learning a bit of their language. So
Well,
just adventures that,
and again, this is the paranoia in me. Aren't you worried about being sexually assaulted or, being
mhm.
discriminated against? I mean, you a young, vivacious white woman in a foreign country. They automatically assume you're rich. You're good. Didn't you
Yes,
run against some adversity as well?
that's how optimistically naive and dumb I am. I think everything's gonna be great. I'm hitchhiking, a guy picks me up. You wanna go? Oh yeah, everything's gonna work out. Hey, do you wanna sleep on the floor in my house? Sure. So I can't believe how I'm still alive at the things, but I only met wonderful people. Obviously, gnarly things happened. My very first night on the train, someone got stabbed and it was because of me. Um, it was my fault. So it was a real eye opener to go, I'm just having an adventure, but someone's life has changed here. And me and Jay couldn't get first and second class tickets. And we insisted on third class tickets because there was a school holiday. And the the white conductor said, I shouldn't allow white people on the third class. It's only going to be dark faces. And we said, that's reverse discrimination. We have lots of black friends. We're from LA. Like, you don't know. We know how mean you are here, you know? And he just shook his head and gave us the tickets. And it's a 29-hour train ride from Johannesburg to Cape Town. And we were fresh off of a 28-hour flight. So we were pretty wiped out, but maybe 5, 6 hours in, I went walking through the train a little bit to find some facilities, and I met 2 white South African men that said, we're retired police officers, and we were just about to come and get you. We saw you and your friend get on in third class, and at night becomes very dangerous. We have some workers with us that are willing to take your place in third class. And we naively just went, okay. We didn't think about the men that are going to replace us. And that was my first night there. And I guess a big native guy, a big bald native guy came up to the guy that had replaced us, a little five
Okay,
foot
was he
four
white
guy.
or was he black?
He was what they call colored people. Maybe Indian descent or Islander, but with straight black hair, maybe, but the same darker skin, but the straight black hair. So he took the spot, him and his friend took the spot, and a man came up with a knife to rob him. And he knew all this karate and stuff and made the guy stab himself. So the bad guy who pulled the knife in the first place got stabbed by my little friend that took our spot. And had taken the spot without even knowing his name. We just went, okay, sounds good. And it was in those moments that you grow and you realize people, we couldn't have been more grateful. We couldn't have been more ashamed of ourselves that we just put so many people in danger because of our naivety, you know. So we decided we better get it together and just do what we should do to stay safer, you know.
Wow.
So that was my first night there. Definitely eye opening.
Wow, that is crazy. So you travel on. So Jay leaves,
Yes.
and then you say, I'm gonna go. And where else did you go?
I landed in Malaysia, so I went just maybe a week or so in Malaysia, and then through Singapore, and then just south of Singapore is Indonesia. But they have very large islands. So I went on a few small islands, did that cargo boat ride. In Sumatra, Java, Bali, and Lombok are quite the traveling. A lot of travelers go north and a lot of travelers go south. So you kind of start meeting people as you go and tell them where you've been and where should I go next. And in Indonesia, I'm 5'7". I'm quite a tall person over there, so I'm just a head taller than everybody else running around, and you just see another head, black, white, brown, doesn't matter. You go, oh, you're tall. You must be with. Want to go have lunch? And they go, yeah. Like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Sweden. I'm from Germany. I'm from there. I'm from Argentina. Whatever. So it's kind of fun to meet travelers like that.
Well, did you get sick at all? Did you catch a cold? Did you, flu? You got
About two and a half
malaria.
years
Good
in,
Lord, have mercy.
I was quite healthy the whole way. Knock on wood, whatever. I started working along the way because I'd only spent another $1,000 in 4 or 5 more months of Asia. So I still have about $1,500. And this is in the mid 90s. So maybe like it would be like $5,000 today. So it was, I thought Australia's right there. And I don't want to fly all the way home and then come all the way back. So then I started working along the way. My first job was washing airplanes. I didn't even know they got dirty. All right, I'll wash some airplanes. I don't care. So that earned me enough money for a train ticket, or excuse me, a plane ticket to Cairns, which is their East Coast. So that would be their like New York area, and I went all the way down to Sydney, which would be our Florida.
Mhm.
Um, so, but then you have a visa where you've applied, and you said I'll just be there for 3 months as a tourist, and I was, what word? That's between you and me
And
and
all
everybody
the
listening to the
sound
podcast.
right.
Yeah. But it was just super easy they said, get a tax ID number and you can work. So I did that. I was paying taxes to their country, but I was getting regular payroll paychecks. And I was getting paid a little bit less than their normal workers. So if somebody was making $12 an hour, I was making $9 an hour and I was happy to do it.
That's
But then you have to get
beautiful.
out of the country to not overstay your visa. So I ended up flying to New Zealand and I loved it there. I was supposed to stay for 2 weeks. I stayed for almost a year. So just waitressing. And one of my favorite jobs back in Australia was I taught snorkeling lessons on a yacht in the Whitsunday Islands, which is like their Bahamas over there. Yeah, it's just a beautiful spot. So I couldn't believe my luck. I'm getting free stay at the hostel if I pick up the bus riders for 2 days a week, and then 5 days a week I'm out on a yacht teaching snorkeling and getting paid. I'm like, all right.
Wow. What did your family say?
Because my mom and her parents had traveled, everybody was super excited for me, and they just kept saying, "Keep going," because it was supposed to be 3 months, and I didn't say I'm going to stay out for 3 years. I said I'm going to just 2 more weeks. Oh, just another month. I'm in New Zealand now. Just another couple weeks, and it just kept. Every time I'd call him, I'm a little longer.
Well, did you fall in love? Did you meet any suitors along the way?
I did. I am a little bit old fashioned, so I really want to get to know someone. So I couldn't get a handshake for like a year. So finally I fall in
Well,
love
that's
with a
kind of an
hippie.
oxymoron because you're hitchhiking with people sleeping on the floor on a boat with 40 men. I'm
Yeah,
not saying you're promiscuous, but I'm just not, I'm just not
I barely made out with anybody. So because you're moving along so quickly that you don't really get to know somebody. So
right.
um, it's a different life. It really is.
That's exciting.
Um, I met a few people that I really connected with, and then they were moving on, or I was moving on, and the timing just wasn't right. But one guy I was attracted to was a super duper hippie. So
Mm.
no clock, no job, no car, no. He was collecting the welfare over there, and just so he could practice his painting style. And it was an eye opener for me because welfare is such a little bit of a stigma here. Over there, they just naturally take a year off. Oh, I'm on that year where it's called being on the dole. So you're like, oh, it's a
Wow.
lot of people just take the year off and take the dole. So you go, oh, okay, you're just painting. So at one point though, I go, I'd love for you to come visit me. I could show you Las Vegas and Disneyland. And he goes, I hate all that. He goes, don't you have Yosemite? And I go, yeah, like I love Yosemite, but I'm a little Vegas. Come on, we
Right.
got a Disneyland,
Right.
Hollywood,
Right.
Epcot,
Right.
a little
Right.
bit.
Right.
Like I'm half and half. Come on, bro. We could like I like Lake Tahoe and San Diego beaches and things like that, but you got to mix it together a little. So I realized in that moment he wasn't going to be a lifetime partner. It was just a nice, probably 7 months we dated while I was in Australia.
It's a beautiful story. So now you come back and you say, wow, I've had all this great adventure, and you decide to write a book. Tell us about the book.
I wish it happened so quickly and easily, but no. I get home from my mom's wedding. I don't want to miss her wedding. And then I go travel again. Some of the friends I've met have said, "Hey, come meet me over here. Come meet me over there." And I still have, started working now. I'm staying at my mom's house. I must be about 27, 28. And it's been a year since that big trip. And they go, "Come meet me in England, in the Canary Islands, in Easter Island, and Tahiti and stuff." I go, "Okay, I'm going to do it again." So I go for 6 months, 7 months. And then I call my family from Fiji, and I just go, "What are normal people doing? I want a home and a career and a husband and kids." And the advice back was, "No, you don't. Otherwise, you'd be working on those things." And it hit me like, "Oh, I don't have to say yes to every trip." Um, I was so engrossed in traveling that I didn't realize it might cost me these other things if I don't balance out my life a little bit. I had met a man that I only met for one day. He had been bicycling around the world for 18 years. And
Wow.
yeah, he said the bus on India was really crowded, so I bought a bicycle and never looked back. My first thought was, wow, you're Indiana Jones. My second thought was, even if you stop today, you can never explain all that to who you marry. They will never really know you very well. So I realized, oh, he doesn't have a career, he doesn't have a home, he doesn't not married, and I thought, oh, that's why people go home. So I,
Wow.
I, I went home and I ended up back in San Diego. So I lived there for a few years, and I ended up marrying a high school sweetheart that I'd been apart from for 16 years. We had dated on just a few dates when I was about 16, 17. I had the big claw hairdo from the 80s. He had the mullet.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's we had 16 years apart, and then we re-met in our 30s. So that's my husband now. We have twins, and
Wow.
he loves to travel too. We've taken the twins around a little bit now. And then the pandemic hit, and I thought, why not? I've always been told for 20 years I should write the book. And I'd already started a little bit here and there, but the pandemic allowed me the free time to just kick it out there and publish it.
So it's your adventures, it's your life learnings, it's your challenges. Um, I'm sure it's got a lot of dreams and aspirations.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I like how you put the spin on the Indiana Jones and made it Pamdiana Jones. Uh,
Well, this was before email. So I got my first email address, and my friend goes, "What do you want it to be?" And I had been signing my letters home as Pam Deanna, I'm Pam Deanna Jones. I'm off on this adventure. So I thought Pam Deanna Jones, whatever. And it stuck. So when it was time to choose a name for the book, I went, "Oh, my people will get me if I like Indiana Jones people and adventurers will know right away." And if someone doesn't know it, it's still a unique enough name that they go, "Well, that's a unique name. Tell me about it." And I could say it's a spoof on Indiana Jones.
that's
And
beautiful.
well, I'm just pushing my second.
Where
I just
is it?
published.
Do you have a copy of it? Let's see it.
I do.
Look
Ta-da!
at
Can you?
that. Hold on. Let me get that, as
So
they say.
Pam Deanna Jones. I
Let
call the
me
book
see.
"When in Rome," like ROAM, like you're roaming around. Obviously, off the spoof of "When in Rome, you do as the Romans do," is the proper saying that whatever country you're in, just do what the locals are doing because they know what's best.
Is
And
that
I
you?
think
Are you bungee jumping?
I am not bungee jumping. I am bungee shoved. See, my friend, he just shoved me off. I told him I don't want to go, and he goes, "Okay," and then he shoves me. So the look on my face, I don't know if you can see this. You might have to Google it later, but
Oh my
I am
God.
just terrified. And plus, I have hurt feelings. I go, "Oh my God, we just talked about this. Like, why? But why are you pushing me? Even, did you clip me in right? Because we just talked about that I wasn't going." So I'm just thinking I'm going to die more than a normal bungee jumper. But I thought, what a perfect cover because this is me always agreeing to things and getting fumbling around like I shouldn't. Like, why don't I think things through?
That's beautiful. Now we can purchase that on Amazon, correct?
Yes, Amazon. It's paperback or ebook and Kindle Unlimited. If someone's into Kindle Unlimited, it's like joining HBO and then you can watch whatever movie you want for free, kind of like Netflix. So it's like for ebook.
Cool. Now you springboard. You've talked about that. How did you get into the genre of children's books?
Well, again with the pandemic, I've written a couple children's books about my twins, and I don't have an illustrator yet, so those are not published yet. But they have a portal, and they go meet Santa, and then they dissolve into their own shadows, and they go meet George Washington on 4th of July. So I'm still working on the illustrations for that. So those are coming soon. But I've had the privilege, this is my second book. I've had the privilege of, it's called The Secret of Oak Island, and it's not my name on it. It's Bertram Smith. It's my grandfather. He wrote this book in 1963 about a big treasure hunt, kind of the Goonies meets National Treasure meets Nancy Drew meets the Three Stooges. He's quite funny. And it was stuffed away in our attic, unpublished for years and years and years. So I just found it in 2022, and I thought I'm going to give it my. It's about my mom, who's a natural triplet, running around at 13, finding the treasure. So I published it and just gave it to her for her 75th birthday. So I
Oh,
got all the cousins and aunts and uncles. Everybody didn't even know I had it. So they're just blown away that I made a new family heirloom. So it's a little bit dated, but in a funny way, like golly gee willikers, those rapscallions are causing shenanigans, you know. So, but the real adventure is the same as it is now with like National Treasure movies. So he was ahead of his time, I think.
well, you just seem so bubbly and excited. I can
Oh,
see how
thank
you
you.
have just really, transformed your life, but also encouraged others because life is about being a risk taker, brains. That's like me.
Yes.
On my life list, I want to paraglide. Well, the weather's a little windy now, so that's the excuse. But I am going to do that because I want to fly. I want to fly. I don't necessarily need to jump out of the plane. I don't need to jump off the bungee jump, but I do want to spread my wings. And I'm so glad that number one, you survived it, that you're here to
Yeah.
tell the tale, that you're bubbly and excited about it, that you wrote a
Thanks.
book. All of that is brilliant because sometimes people, just shove it down or suppress it, or they're, oh, this won't be interesting to somebody else, but it will be. But the life lessons that you shared with me that are in there as well will be an eye opener to the next young woman or next young man that just wants to step out and be pushed off
Well,
of a
something,
bridge.
thank you for that. And I think you should fly. I recently took my kids to an indoor skydiving place and you get to fly for a minute. So at least practice that before you, if you can't
You
go
know, I
anywhere
was
else,
talking to my daughter. I was in the car the other day and she gave me two great suggestions. She says, Mommy, you might want to try the indoor skydiving just so that you can feel and see how you're going to respond to it. It's in a controlled environment before you make that big leap of faith. So you're the second person that said that. So that's definitely confirmation. And I think that maybe I'll ask Santa
right?
to put me
Story of
against.
my life. I just had everybody got a turn. There was only about three of us moms that wanted to go. Everybody else was the kids at the field trip, but they spin you around for about a minute, and somehow I ended up flat on my back like a turtle because I had reached for the door too soon, and then we're kind of pulling each other back, and then they turned the air down to let me out, but that's when I let go and I went back. So definitely listen when they're telling you about the important moments of what to do next. So start of my life, I just can't do anything normal. But more on the giving people incentive to go and things. I I found the universe or God or however you want to say it was right there with me with every decision I had to make. I was living in that flow way more than I am at home. Once you start watching Seinfeld and eating Doritos, that kind of goes away a little bit. But to be on your own and have to decide, do I eat this funky thing or do I go with this person or which town do I leave? Do I stay here longer? There's an instant, yeah, this is perfect, or no, it's not going to work out. And you just start to not question it. Now I know when my moving truck got stolen, that that was trying to protect me and I wasn't listening. But now I just go with that flow. Whatever it happens, whatever it says, whatever that thought first comes to me, I just listen to it now. So that is
Well,
the
that's
biggest
good.
lesson
But
that
you
I
know
learned.
what? You also have a gift, not only the guardian
Thank you.
angels, but you have a gift of discernment. And I think that, you were a bit of a risk taker. Some of the things some of those things I'd be looking at folks with a side eye. But again, if you didn't do the things that you did, you wouldn't have a testimony. And so we are so glad to share that. Please tell my brains how to get a copy of the book, how
Oh,
to
sure, sure,
connect
yeah.
with you, and I don't know, maybe pitch you to be your illustrator for your children's book.
Right? I would love that. I am looking. I'm definitely looking. So it's, and I don't want to give it to AI. No way. I want a regular illustrator. So I'd rather pay someone for their art and have it be unique, you know?
Right.
Um, what
So how do they get in contact with you? Is that on Facebook? Do you have a website,
Oh,
email?
sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm Pamdiana Jones everywhere. So Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, pamdianajones.com. But right now the book is just selling on Amazon, and that's paper book and ebook. You could get it through my website too, but it's probably easier because of shipping everywhere around the world that Amazon take care of it. They're just everywhere right now.
Well, that's good.
Um,
Maybe you, and you know what? I'd love to hear you do an online book reading or book signing.
oh, wonderful. Yeah. I've got a
Absolutely.
copy right here. I even have a page saved because you'd said you wanted to hear a page and a half. So I go, oh, I
Absolutely.
better shorten some of these.
So before we conclude, go ahead and
Yeah.
grace us with a little excerpt.
Okay. So let me give you a hint of a background. I'm in Africa. Jay is gone already. So I've just met these three other men and they've invited me to a wild animal park. So I don't know them from Adam. And we're just all chit chatting about our lives. And then we see a lone, just a few days earlier, before Jay left, we'd been chased by a herd of wild elephants when Jay and I had gotten out of the car. So they were breathing down our neck, dust flying, and we were running back to our car and we jump in right before they take off.
Mm,
So keep that in mind when you hear how naive I am. Uh, so me and these three guys now, we see a lone wild rhino eating behind some bushes. I decide this will be a great photo op. Hey James, can you turn off the engine and we'll see if he comes out more from behind that bush? I ask in a whisper since our windows are down. Sure, he says. We wait there silently for about 15 minutes until I decide to slide out the window. I told you, I'm
whoa.
not so bright. From my seat, all I've seen is big rhino butt. If I could just get around that little corner, I could see his face. Just trying to get a quick picture, I whisper to the fellas. Maybe not a great idea, says Tristan. Yeah, get back inside, Pam, whispers Zealand. I see James frantically shaking his head no from the driver's seat, but I can just see the rhino clearly from this angle. His hindquarters are 20 feet in front of me. Ignoring everyone, I slide around the edge of the car to try to capture his face. I step slowly, but obviously he can hear me. The rhino turns slightly and looks at me with a few branches hanging from his mouth. Perfect shot! I hold up the camera and take the quick picture. As I hit the button, instead of the usual click sound, it seems that this is the last picture available on my film loaded camera. The camera decides to rewind the film with a loud, hunkering, clamoring noise. Sounds like I'm taking off in a jet during this peaceful moment of my rhino friend's lunch. He doesn't like it, or me. He takes a large step towards me with a loud grunt and a threatening scrape of his front foot, like an angry bull to a matador in a Spanish bullfight. I am petrified. I'm the dummy who wouldn't listen to the others, who unanimously thought that my being outside the car with a dining wild rhino was a bad idea. All of the fear from being chased by that herd of elephants comes rushing back. What the hell am I doing? I react. I take a huge step backward and dive sideways, head first, into the car's open window. The ass of my jeans rips wide open. Yep, this is happening.
Mm.
Hold on, hold on. Yep, this is happening. James is way ahead of me and has started the car, flooring it in reverse away from the fat, angry unicorn. My arms are splayed out on the car floor with my legs and bare cheek hanging out in the safari sunshine. The fellas help pull me in as we speed away. The rhino charges us a few steps, loses interest, turns, and begins to feast again. How unexpected that my camera would be extra loud in that one instant. So worth the shot, even though it's my only pair of jeans and they're repaired that night with the only thing I have handy duct tape. Yep, the wild.
Oh,
And
that
that's
is
just
crazy.
that's just one afternoon. Wait till you get into this book. I'm sending you your copies as soon as I get to pick up my kids, you know?
Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to, I mean, this is going to be just a very different read. I'm excited. I'm excited for you and all of your.
Thank you. It's back in the 90s, so I throw in a few things. Just my sister said it would date the book, but I want it to be dated. That's a lost kind of a decade. People know about the 60s, the vibe there, the 1920s, but nobody really pegged the 1990s. So I put a lot of music in there and a Spotify QR code at the end to listen to it. Each chapter, each town has a song.
Oh,
And
wow.
some big news stories that happened at that time too. That was OJ Simpson was all over the news. And the Persian Gulf War was big news at that time. So,
Right.
we talk a little bit about those things too, but mostly it's learning about other cultures and just appreciating what this world is with all these people. I only met fabulous people that were They're still lifelong friends, so that's kind of fun
That's
to connect with
amazing.
everybody.
That's amazing. And life is not over until it's over. Brains, you need to number
I
one,
hear that.
Americans need to get a passport because they don't have passports.
Yes, get one. You're trapped in America.
Well, yeah, I read somewhere that there's only like, 40% of Americans have a passport.
Most
And
people
then
don't
you
even
look at,
leave their town.
yeah, I mean, but you look at other places like Australia, 5 weeks vacation, Europe,
Yeah,
5 weeks vacation, Canada,
sure.
5 weeks vacation. And here we work and work and work and work.
And
So
your boss kind of frowns at you. What do you mean you need a week? You haven't had a week off in 10 years. You're like, that's because I need a week off. So,
exactly.
yeah,
So there
yes.
has to be some life balance because there's more to life than just working. You got to have some adventure. You got to have some fun. And I'm sure that your parents, your kids are so excited to have such cool parents that are
They probably
really,
think we're dorks right now, but one day they'll appreciate us.
will. They will. So thank you so much. Brains, go and pick up a copy.
All right,
Uh,
thank you. So everything's on Amazon. The Secret of Oak Island and When in Rome, both with connected to the Pamdiana Jones name here. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you, Brains. Go in, like, love, share, and have a little adventure. Have a little fun in your life. Thanks
I
so much,
agree.
Pam. We'll connect again soon. You're not too far from me. We're gonna meet halfway and
Yes,
have a really good lunch, maybe somewhere
I
new.
would love that, Miss April. Thank you so
Okay,
much for today, and it's so good to get to know you better.
you too. Bye, Brains.
Bye.